Back at it, Giga I West going vertical. Once again, the extension to the building where the stamping will be carried out has steel and it is vertical. It has been erected. I am joined by Mark, as I so often am when I talk about such topics. The building, not the erection of steel, but you get the idea. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. Mark, you shake your head, but in the pre-show, you were like, more.
No, I wasn't.
Well, maybe my headphones are on the fritz.
Maybe there's a problem there. Yes.
So what we're looking at is this. I've already given it the thumbs up. You should as well. Please visit Zangler. He's out there doing the hard work so that we can stay nice and warm and toasty and enjoy our very easy lives of sitting around. They're using these crane type systems, these ground-based, there's a word for it, I'm forgetting it right now, but that allow you to build without a crane. And the steel is going up.
There we go. So now we've got the I-beams that are now reaching out towards the stamping pit.
Mm-hmm. And there are parts of this that extend beyond the footprint of the render. We can see more work going on, with all of this. It's great. The concrete continues. This wall doesn't necessarily need to be finished because it's going to be an interior wall, but they're still insulating it, likely for sound reasons. More steel going up. Hey man, what do you want for your birthday? No, you can tell me later. I did have information on these water containers.
Yes.
If I can
the mysterious massive drums for liquid.
But they are double-walled chemical containers. These are not water cisterns. They're like a polyurethane double-layered tank that someone found. So at any rate, not for water. And we had discussed how the water issue in Nevada is that homeowners are allowed to gather rainwater. Businesses are not. Right? Groundwater is hard to come by. Rainwater, which becomes groundwater, needs to enter the water table through the natural course. I know when I was looking to build a big shed at my old house, one of the restrictions we were facing was there's a limit to how much impermeable surface we were allowed to have. We had to have permeable surface for rainwater. You can see them refining the shapes of some of these docks. Some of them will be, I guess, taller than others. And yeah.
So did you fix your problem with your shed by drilling holes in the roof?
No. What I considered doing, we ended up moving. It was insane. The equity line I was going to use to build this office, basically, the bank was such a stick in the mud over, I don't know, 20,000 or something we wanted. And it was just going back and forth for months on it. And then I was like, you know what? Never mind. We're buying a new house. And they're like, oh, how much you want? $500,000, $250,000? No problem. It's like, for crying out loud. So at any rate, yeah, these go up like a Tinker Toy once you're ready. And reminds me of the days when we were seeing the race in Texas between the three cranes. Boy, it was aggressive back then.
It was, yes.
Those were exciting days.
So obviously it's quicker to build it with these type of mobile lifts as opposed to a crane. So it's it must be a more flexible, faster build using these items.
I believe that is absolutely correct. Now, because this is not enough content to fill a video, I have found on Reddit a user who posted an updated list of companies using the semi. Internal use 50 to 100 to haul battery packs between Nevada and California. Pepsi started with 15 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. They had about 86 in use across Sacramento, Modesto, and Fresno for the Pepsi beverages and Frito-Lay snacks. And yeah, it's great if you're only hauling chips. Right. But liquid is very heavy. I don't know if you know this. You're talking like 7 pounds to the gallon. It adds up real quick. Martin Brower, 2 semis in early 2024 for a pilot. Cisco, Walmart, Costco, Saya, DHL, and Watt EV. Now, Watt EV is only 2 trucks, but these are all companies expected to expand their orders forthwith, right?
Forthwith. That's fancy language.
Yes. So, you know what time it is.
It's the
It's time for this. We a few weeks back accidentally switched our endless faces to a different video, so this one will have to do. Uh, this is my video. I'm permitted to like it. You're permitted to like my videos as
okay.
well.
That sounds
You don't like my videos? Oh,
good.
Mark, the disappointment is crushing. Let's see. This is the first question. Here's a dad joke for you. James Bond and a chicken crossing the road. Chicken turns to 007 and says, "Hi, what's your name?" He says, "Bond, James Bond." "And your name?" "Ken, Chick Ken."
Oh my gosh, that is real bad.
It's not
Ross,
ideal.
what are you doing to us?
Yeah. What about an autonomous container hauler? Offload a container from a ship onto a road-capable electric hauler for delivery to the customer. Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
and that's something we've discussed a bit in the past, where it doesn't need to be semi-shaped. You'd probably still want a fairing on the front to deflect some of the brutal wind forces. But yeah, why not? And with barcodes, I mean,
Oh, with the advent of autonomy in the trucking industry, that is absolutely going to happen. It'll move from different modes of shipping, from rail, from sea, onto the road seamlessly. That is definitely coming.
definitely, I agree. Welcome to your doom. Holy cow, that's a blast from the past. Yeah, it's from an old video game. I don't remember which one. Wes telling a first-person tale about himself visiting the factory that he can't remember. Wes, was in Wes, was I?
Maybe.
Maybe, Tom. Maybe. You're getting a heart for that. Why do people still question the feasibility of the Tesla Semi? Tesla and Pepsi have been testing with real loads on real routes for well over a year now. Yeah, why are people still questioning this, Mark?
They shouldn't be. Kaza here definitely has the right feed on this. It's real. It's in use, and get used to it, people.
Kenworth is already selling a ton of trucks. Theirs are pretty good. They don't have the kind of range a Tesla Semi does, but maybe they don't need it. Not all routes need 500 miles or a cajillion. A lot of routes can use 100 miles, 150,
Yep.
which the Kenworth can capably do. Volvo has electric trucks. Mercedes has electric trucks. Those are all selling. We don't know what the price of the Tesla Semi is. It will be difficult for us to make a fair assessment until we know that. Here's a question for you. Do we know or have pictures of the new production from Shanghai Megapactory with the Megapacks yet?
I have not seen a photo of Megapacks rolling out of the Shanghai factory.
Well, you're in for a treat.
Oh,
Because there's the first one. China team shipped the first energy storage products, a Megapack. Now, this is only March 20th, so it is possible that when this person asked the question, that this had not been published yet. Or it was close enough to at the same time that I don't expect everyone to know, and I don't expect everyone to follow the news the way we do. Oh, it's brutal, man. It's painful.
Why would they be watching if everyone followed the news the way we do?
I'll tell you, when I started following the news the way I do, there were a number of channels I stopped watching because by the time they put out the news, it's a week old.
There you go.
The first batch, yeah, a single Megapack can store about 4 megawatts of electricity, equivalent to 62 Model 3 rear-wheel drive cars. I mean, that's a weird. Why don't you measure it in giraffes and a half? The Megapack uses the same technology as the vehicle. Well, this article is real light. I feel like you used AI to make it longer. Weirdly, by the way, I was using Notepad the other day, Microsoft Notepad. And if you open Notepad on your computer today, you may notice in the top right corner, not only is there an option for your username to sign in, I don't know why, but there's also an AI assist button, which will rewrite it to make it shorter, make it longer, change the tone, or change the format. Stop. It's Notepad. It's not meant to do that. Okay. Well, good, because at least now I don't have to buy.
I hope they call their AI assistant Clippy.
I was
They
hoping
bring
you would
back
say that.
Clippy.
Yeah. Clippy got a raw deal. Definitely. So there's your answer to, have we seen Megapacks? Yeah, they are rolling out. FSD, 2 months in China. How long for the Semi? Now that's a great question. I would argue, and I'd like to hear your take on this, that it is a whole lot harder to do the semi than to just introduce the car in a new market. When you introduce the car in a new market, the car already knows how to drive. It already
Yeah.
knows where its body is in space and the mechanics of its operation. But FSD for the semi has to consider not just that it's a much bigger, longer, wider vehicle, but also the dynamics of the infinitely variable loads you may be carrying. So I think there's a lot to that to understand,
Oh,
especially
definitely.
once it's in reverse. Whoa, you got to factor in.
Just the sheer physical size of the trailer length that's going with the truck are things that you have to consider because trailers are of varied sizes.
Mhm.
45, 48, 53 feet there are just vans. When you get to flatbeds and step decks, different sizes ensue as well. So being able to understand physically how that vehicle resides in a geographic space is going to be something they're going to have to be real careful with. So it's going to require a lot of training.
I'm with you 100%. The dynamics of a two-part vehicle alone before you factor in all the weights and distribution, just the variable length, like you said, makes backing up very different. So I don't know the answer to that, but I will say, thank you for the comment. Saucy number one, give you a smack of heart on there. Why did the electric car get a promotion? Because it was fully charged for the job. Uh, I
Way to go, Iggy.
We're doing our best. This one I wanted to address. Castings have poor fatigue life and sudden brittle failure on impact. Stamped steel components have both long fatigue life and are ductile enough to absorb energy while collapsing in a head-on collision. Anyone? I believe what Mr. Vatican Rag is saying is that stamped steel is better. And I would argue that the embrittlement upon collision is by design. The crash testing is not worse on these vehicles. Uh, the repairability is an overstated issue. By the time you get to the kind of damage that would deform a Giga casting, you've totaled the car.
Yeah.
And in Sandy Monroe's video, he didn't say it's worse. He said it's different. And I think that's fine. And fatigue, I don't know that we have anything to suggest this metal fatigues over time in ways that would cause any kind of failure. So I don't have enough information to give you a complete answer. I don't know if enough information exists. Any thoughts?
I think we touched upon this last week too, or the week before. It was somebody that was saying, "Is the stamped casting better than the steel?" And it's, you know what, you could probably make a case for steel stamp, but you also have to look at the financials, and you have to look at, as you mentioned, how much does the car's frame actually have to stand up to in order for it to survive a crash at the speeds that they're willing to re-put that car back on the road? As you said, if you hit at a certain rate of speed, they're going to total the car anyways, whether it has a missing part or not. So there are things to say it's better, but you have to look at the financials, and you also have to look at the crash settings that they're trying to reach.
Agree. All counts, I agree. Would the semi be able to use V4 supercharger with an adapter? And should they?
No, they should not.
They should not. They would block every single stall.
Yes.
So please don't do that. Could they? Well, what about an extension cord? Yeah, it wouldn't be liquid cooled anymore. It would defeat the purpose. So should they do that? I'm going to say no. Could they? Could you use a V4 cabinet to, let's say you just had some V4, like a V4 standing by itself in the middle of a parking lot. Could it use it? Sure, at a lower rate. I don't think there's a reason. I mean, you might need an adapter, but I'm confident that it would be capable of doing that if it had.
Well, remember in the early days when the semi was testing, they would bring it to a regular supercharger, a V3 supercharger, and they would plug in a special adaptive cord that would have 3 or 4 plugs,
Right,
and they would all feed
multiple.
into a single one and then into the truck. So could it be done? Yeah, the Tesla could make that happen if they wanted to, but of course, it doesn't make a lot of sense when the supercharger is busy to have a semi show up and take up 4 stalls to charge it. When there's only a limited amount of semis out there, and on top of it, they are driving certain routes that allow them to use their own mega charger at their depots.
Agree. There will come a day when Tesla semis are owned by independent owner operators whose path on a given day is not necessarily known to the network at large. But for the first years, it will be very well known routes, very predictable paths and charging times and all that. The only reason I would see using a V4 cabinet is if for some reason there was just no mega charger cabinets available. Maybe they needed one temporarily. They got a temporary V4 setup just to fill the gap at the depot at their warehouse. But even then, I'm not
I would
sure.
hope that Tesla would make that semi so versatile that it could use even down to a level 1 charger when the trucker's at home and just wants to trickle charge it. Well, or if he's at a truck stop, he could plug in and maybe run some of the HVAC system a little bit with the charge he's getting from it. Now, that won't work with a level 1, but it certainly would work with a level 2 to get the HVAC system in the rig working overnight while he sleeps.
I think for not, if your goal is to not necessarily gain any miles of range, level 1 would do the trick. And also probably not lose range. I was talking with Drake in Ocala, who organized the event there for Cybertruck Day, Cybertruck Fest. And he was saying, I said, how long would it take you to charge on a level 1? He goes, I've tried it. You can't. You will not overcome the power drain, the phantom drain from the Sentry mode. Now they've addressed that since then. This was in the early days before they rolled out that particular efficiency, but it was an infinity charge. And if you had a battery 6 times larger, 8 times larger, it would take infinity times 8, which is interestingly equal to infinity times 1. So
you never get there regardless.
Yeah. Yeah, when is Tesla going to spin off the iWest division? I think Johnny here is just wanting to be fun and just use iWest again, because the answer to me is never. Never. They don't spin off nothing.
Appreciate the question, Johnny.
Do we know where the batteries will come from? What if they managed to get the footprint of the battery factory so small that they could drop one right next to the iWest factory? So not a Megapack factory, just a battery factory. Isn't there already a battery factory next
Yeah,
door?
and it's pretty close too. It's just across the road.
Just right there on the property. So I think it doesn't make sense to necessarily expand into a new building. I think they would just expand within Giga Nevada. Right now they're using Giga Nevada Source 2170 nickel, manganese, cobalt chemistry batteries. But I'm sure they could use anything. And if they were able to make enough LFP batteries, they could maintain the same curb weight and have a 300-mile version that might be cheaper to build than the 500-mile version. Can you put Megapacks on a ship and sell energy to nations in need?
Yeah, but that would be an expensive way to do things because, of course, you have to move the ship to the place that needs it. And ships travel rather slow for transportation. And meanwhile, where are you charging up these batteries
Right.
before they get there? Doesn't really make a lot of sense fiscally, I would say.
I would agree. They're very heavy. They have very low energy density compared to other things you might put on a ship like natural gas or oil. It is not at this time an effective way to move power. You'd want wires. You'd want a grid. So to move energy from continent to continent, that doesn't seem possible in the foreseeable future. Maybe in 10 years or 30 years, they'll have sufficient energy density that you can handle power stored in a chemical fashion like a battery. But today it's just too darn heavy for how little power you would get. And then if you're going to power, just to power the boat itself with electricity would be a prohibitive number of megapacks. All right, well, that's it for Giga iWest this week. Hey, head over to Mark's channel, the Tesla Life, see what he's up to. I'm going to double check my calendar here because by the time this comes out, it might be tomorrow or today even that I'm in Chattanooga. But don't forget, April 1st is an important day on this channel. It is my Super Bowl. It is when I go a little crazy, because I am a little crazy, and April Fool's Day is not just no exception. It is the rule. So be sure to come back for that, because there will be all day festivities.
Wow.
And yeah, stay tuned, stay juicy. I cannot wait to hear from you, clever robots, on April 1st.